Welcome to Close Quarter here on Insure TV. I'm your host, Cameron Leach, and I'm joined by the OIP Insurtech team here in Scottsdale, Arizona for 2025 target markets. We have Beatovic. He's a strategic account executive here at OIP Insurtech. Shawnae Bentley, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships, and Tim Ramsey, Vice President of Business Development here in the U.S. How's it going, guys?
Great.
Going great.
Good. Thanks for having us.
How's it treating you so far here at Target Markets?
It's been fun.
The weather
Yes.
is very nice today,
Yeah.
so I cannot complain.
Great to see all our
Yeah.
friends.
All right, so listen, we'll start the conversation here. You know, the program business has really eclipsed a lot of expectations out there. We're seeing like 20% year-over-year growth for the business. From the business standpoint, Shawnae, what are you seeing as far as, what can improve the industry and what's to come?
Yeah, so I think AI is definitely helping this scale really quickly, and we got to stay on top of that. So the way we've done business traditionally is changing pretty rapidly, and I like that what OIP has done so far, like kind of having that forward view, where we were more of a traditional outsourcing, providing underwriting support and people to their teams. We're now complementing that with where the technology is going, and having that knowledge is helping us really provide solutions that actually impact them.
AJ, how is OIP positioning itself, particularly as the program business continues to scale and evolve?
So the way OIP has been positioning itself is we've been taking a multifaceted approach. So of course we have our traditional assistant underwriting services that many people are familiar with, but we've also been tackling lots of tasks via our agentic workflows. So think of repetitive workflows like submissions, renewals, or any sort of data extraction, and we've been able to automate a lot of the business where it makes sense, and then also put in our subject matter experts to be the humans in the loop within the process. So think of how much processing experience we have as a company. We've been able to leverage that via our subject matter experts and truly adjust the business case and not just the technology case. I feel like that's a common issue where the technology is there, but if you don't understand the business and you don't understand the workflows behind it, then you're always going to fall short there.
What's been most surprising about some of your conversations here at Target Market so far?
The thing that surprised me the most is, I would say, how quick the adoption of technology has happened in the past year. What I would say is our first agentic workflow that we did automate, which was submission clearance 4 years ago, wasn't ready for the market, and now this year and last year everybody's wanting to incorporate AI into the business. So we have the blessing that we were actually able to develop a lot of this tech and use a lot of proprietary models, as opposed to just being a large language model wrapper that's taking a more generalist approach, and then there's always the problems with hallucination and other aspects as well.
Tim, in our last conversation, we talked about how just digital tools have, just improved the whole underwriting process. Has OIP's approach kind of changed anywhere here in the U.S. since that conversation?
Probably not since that conversation, but I mean, it continues to evolve, of course. I mean, as AJ touched on, and Shawnae, it's rapidly evolving in our space, and we try to stay on top of that. So we're exploring opportunities with our partners every day about how we can utilize the AI technology to help them better achieve better results and the outcomes that they want in their business. So yeah, I mean, to give you specifics, I probably can't, but just to know that we're constantly evaluating that and discussing it internally quite a bit so that we're on top of it and are ready to, move forward with those opportunities as they come up.
The conversations are so important because that's how we figure out what is our next priority, what is the biggest gap that the industry needs help with, and like just having that trust and with our partners, and then being able to come to us and just like, this is happening right now, we need some help, like what direction should we go? And like that helps us also with our strategy of what is the next big thing that we should be working on. Just, it might not be something that we recognize, but then through those conversations we're like, okay, AJ, you talked to 3 people at Target Markets. I had the same conversation with 4 people, so did Tim. Like, okay, let's shift. And us being able to do that pretty flexibly and respond to that in a meaningful way, I think that's valuable.
That's similar to what we were talking about earlier in our podcast, was the business process outsourcing versus what we are is knowledge process outsourcing, is leveraging our services as well as our tech and being able to actually find a solution that's going to address the business, which is the most important.
How are you guys handling the competition that's out there? Obviously, there's been new incumbents as well. How are you guys managing with some of that competition for OIP Insurtech?
I mean, I would say we don't worry too much about the competition. We know they're there. We're obviously curious as to what they're doing. We're just focused on what we're doing and what we can do for our clients. And I think with the team that we have, the history and the background that we have in the business, both really Shawnae and I have had 25 plus years each in the business. So we understand the business very well, and we have great relationships with our clients. And then we combine that with the tech team that we have, including AJ and others. We feel very confident that we can deliver for our clients. So at least that's my position. I don't spend a whole lot of time looking at the competition, but
AJ, how do you balance the part of keeping the humans a part of the entire process, but also including AI as well too? What's the perfect balance there?
Yeah, I think it's making the process a lot more efficient and being able to get more new business, retain more clients. We were speaking about this earlier. I mean, when I started working at OIP Insurtech, my first job was actually doing filings and doing submissions. Turns out doing submissions and doing data entry all day is not what I wanted to do, and I don't think anybody really loves doing that. And as my personal goal was like, this is something that should be automated. It's a repetitive task, and it's something that keeps coming in, and it's something that has to happen because that's the way the business is being submitted. So those sort of things that are what I call the workflows, the policy life cycle, essentially. A lot of those things can be not only more efficient, but get more data to have more insights. I feel like a large conversation we've had is our program partners having the data, but not being able to extract it efficiently. So when these carrier conversations come up, they're scrambling for data as opposed to having it in a data lake where it's all structured and they can really leverage and own their information. But not only that, but make better insights based off of that information.
I think that's a good point, especially with E&S, how it kind of falls to us. There's no financial guarantee backing, so it's on us to stay profitable and in business. And when they can proactively manage their portfolio with their data, that allows them to make better decisions and have that healthy book of business so they can continue to service the industry.
What's the next phase of evolution, for the sector? Obviously, AI is already helping with the submission underwriting process. What's the next thing that we should be looking out for?
So what we've developed is a product called Bound AI Workflows. And essentially what that is, it's automating a lot of the middle office and back office work along with our service side, which will be a lot of that exception handling on these workflows. So think about anything that's more repetitive, such as policy comparisons, inspection reviews, any sort of bordereau data as well. That's a very long process. I believe I've seen instances where it's 50 different columns and 2,000 rows. That's something that would take you hours to process, making that a lot more efficient. But then speaking back to the business side, also incorporating it into the workflow. So if the workflow is not good to begin with, then you're only going to make it so much better. Being able to have that partnership where you're able to change the workflow completely and truly do a new way of business. And that sometimes could be replacing a system that's from the 90s, and that might be ripping off the Band-Aid on that. But what's nice about this sort of extracting and transforming and loading of data is the fact that our AI product, Bound AI, is actually, we've been able to accelerate it, where we have some of our largest program administrators and MGAs doing huge transferings of data, which would take normally 6 months to a year, is now taking 2 months. And not only that, it's a lot more accurate, all the data being transferred, because it's done via our technology.
Tim, what trends are you seeing as program managers, attempt to adapt to this current environment?
Well, they're all exploring and talking about AI, and they want to know how that can be utilized to help them become better at their businesses. From a program manager standpoint specifically, they're underwriters, so they're focused on the underwriting workflows mostly. And so we have tools that can help them with that. And that's going to give them the outcome they want. So they want better efficiency and turnaround times for their customers, and they want better underwriting results for their programs. And AI can help them do that. And so that's their focus for sure, is how they can improve their underwriting results.
I think if we can alleviate some of that lower level work where it's necessary, but it's not truly revenue generating, and let them upskill to apply that critical thinking and underwriting judgment, which is, you're paying high salaries for these talented underwriters. You want them doing what's going to bring them and your company the most value. So when we're able to alleviate them from some of that with the automation, and we do this with our own employees too. We have very talented people, and we don't want them just doing data entry. So we use it as well, because we know that when we're making our employees better, that's making our clients better, and it goes throughout the industry.
That's interesting. So even from some of your conversations with, potential clients, what's some of the feedback that you're getting as you guys try to integrate, OIP Insurtech's technology with their platforms?
Well, I think like the legacy platforms are hard.
Well, if you look at what majority, people change their core system every 10 plus years, 10 to 20 years. I've seen some people have systems older than I am. So imagine a system that's older than I am, and you're trying to put agentic workflows onto that. Yes, you can add APIs, create certain custom development things, which, by the way, will be very expensive to add to a system. But if it's not made for that, you're likely not going to be able to leverage this technology fully. You might get 50 to 60%, but if you're doing an RPA integration, that's going to be not only costly and timely, but you're not going to get what you actually paid for. And then this is bringing it back to the business, that you're just implementing AI to say you're using the technology, but you're only leveraging a very small fraction of it. And the result is not having the business case and the KPIs that you expected from being able to leverage it. And then we could always go into how long the integrations would go, implementations, and then this is a ongoing story.
Tim, what's your message to potential clients here at Target Markets who could really use some of OIP Insurtech's technology as well?
My message would be to sit down and have a conversation. And we like to think strategically, and we love to have those conversations with potential clients about how we might be able to help them improve their business workflows, improve their business outcomes and results. So it's really just starting a conversation, honestly, and then we go from there and we figure out, dig a little deeper and get down into the specifics of where their most critical pain points are or whatnot that we can help them with. But it's really just, let's sit down and have a conversation and get it started.
And Tim and I were, prior to joining OIP was, we were clients of OIP. So I from the carrier side, him from the wholesale side. So I think that's something that resonates too. It's like we actually use the services as well, and we see the value in the partnership, and we're having a lot of those conversations because of our relationships, and there's that trust and credibility. And when you can speak firsthand and tell your story, I think authentically, that goes a lot further than just a sales pitch, right?
I imagine those conversations had to be transformative for you guys to wind up joining OIP.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. So I'll leave it there. Plenty of takeaways from the OIP Insurtech team. My name is Cameron Leach, and this is Close Quarter.